Okay, so before I start the discussion about the philo and a lot of things that I have learned from philo, so one thing I would just like to say to everyone is that this kind of video is used for educational purposes or used for my studies. Like, I'm gonna upload something like something that I have learned from philo. So of course, it's just this video is about like for 20 minutes. So uh, let me introduce myself. My name is Albert Jason Alboro. I'm a student of Xavier University Ateneo de Cagayan. So this kind of study is like the things that I have learned from my class. So it's just for educational purposes, but for me, I'm gonna start now. So we all know that philosophy is like the study of fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence. Like, of course, and there's also like a study of the theoretical basis of particular branch or knowledge or something like experience. So I'm gonna go to my first point. So like the ethics. So for today is that like ethics is like the study of like something, the concepts of the right or wrong behavior, like something like that. So like you study such concepts like such as good and evil, right or wrong, virtue or vice, and justice and crime. So those are like the studies of ethics, and it is important for our lives that we study those ethics, even for our like when we go to work. So about the moral reflection is that the Greek philosopher Socrates said that the unexamined life is not worth living. So it's a very famous line that what he said, because it like talks about the true meaning of life that are explored and discovered in our ability. So, and of course we are also taught like on how to reflect or something, like when we experience like in our experience. And moral reflection is of course like how we react or reflect something, like we reflect like the right or wrong things that we have in our experience in our life. So that's what I have known about the moral reflection and the ethics that we like ethics. So one thing I would like to say about ethics is that it's also a branch of philosophy, including moral. So today I'm gonna be discussing about Google, I mean Turnitin. So one thing about Turnitin is that it is a thing that you check the plagiarism, like whenever you like something like the task that has been wrote, like for example like it's just copy paste. Like the Turnitin, the thing of Turnitin is like you check the plagiarism if it's of course like, and it's even used as a plagiarism checking, like when you submit your paper and it's the Turnitin compares like it to the text when it's massive database of the student work or something or etc. So for today I'm gonna be discussing about next is Google Meet. So Google Meet is like when you open Google Meet, like you see that there are like up to 100 participants. Like you can also use it like for having a class, or like you have a meeting. And of course, it is Google Meet is also helpful. And one thing I can say about Google Meet is that like it is safe and protects all of your things like data, or and of course you also needed like some privacy. That and that's why in the pandemic, during like when there are the coronavirus plagues that started, that's why most of the students or participants use Google online class, like the Google Meet for online class. And of course, when you use Google Meet, everyone who has a Google account can like create a video meeting and invite like most of the like invite participants. And that's how it is for this kind of thing for Google Meet. So today we're gonna be discussing like about the rules in our lives. So one thing I can say is that it is also part of ethics. Like of course, like it says here that the evaluation of the rules in our lives will lead to an appreciation of the importance of ethics. And of course, it means like the ethics, like the rules, like it will guide us like in every actions. So for me is that this one is gonna be very important for me to answer, because we know that it's very important that we have rules in our lives. So that's what I learned about that one in PHILO. So the question is like, why rules? So like, why do I follow rules? Well, for me is that like I follow rules because the rules in my life, like in our lives, are very important for me and for every people that we do, because the rules can guide you on what to do. Like if you do not follow rules, then there will be like some consequences or something that will happen if you do not follow those rules. So everyone in life should follow rules, like for example, like what to do or what not to do. And of course, it is very important that the rules in our lives, like how we should live in like a good way or the right way. And rules are not just, it's like by action. And of course, this thing really helps me. The rules in our lives also helps me in understanding the way of things that are happening in life. Like, and also not only that, but we should also abide by the rules in our lives, like something that is telling us what to do or what not to do. So next is moral agent. So for us as a moral agent, what I have learned is that it is like us, a person who has the ability to know like right from wrong, because you know, we should know, like as moral agents, like we are like we have moral responsibility, like not to cause unjustified harm. So of course, moral agency is very like they know how to maintain, the moral agents know how to maintain values like truthfulness, like moral courage, and also there is trustworthiness on that thing. And of course, as a moral agent, because we as moral agent a moral agent refuses to perform an act that can violate the personal code of ethics. And of course, we should, like, it is very important. Moral agents are also important for us, like argument that easily that ethical rules are easily, like something like that. But of course, that's how it is. Like, as agent, like the general objectives that I have known is that we recognize and appreciate the differences in moral behavior or different cultures. And like, it's how we evaluate like the strength of and weaknesses of cultural relativism, and identify universal values and explain why they are necessary for, like, we survive. And of course, like, we should also, it's very important that, like, evaluate the elements that needed to be changed in, like, as like moral agent. And of course, it says like culture, like relativism and Filipino values. Yeah. And like in ethics, there are like norms, like standards that are based on shared values. Like, what I can say is that being with others is governed, like justice, respect for life, freedom of expression, and gender equality. Yes, that's how it is in ethics. Like, but there is also a problem. We call this problem of relativism. Like, that topic can expose the strength and weakness of cultural relativism. So, like, it's like how we understand, like, the values in our way of life, like that. So that's how it is. So one thing I can say about the artifacts is that, of course, it's called, like, something like we make. Like, for example, I saw an artifact in my backyard but of course, I know that, like, that artifact is like something that has been done in the past, like culture, like something in our culture. Yes, that's how we learn about the artifacts. Like, things like I would make something, like it's an artifact that I make something like that. So of course, so the next one is like, why should we be moral? So one thing about this one is that we should be moral because we know that, like, we learn from our mistakes, like something like we learn, like there is a moral lesson to learn about what happened. Like, there was a consequence that happened in my life, so there, and of course I would learn a moral lesson that what needs to be done. So like concerning what is right, and of course that's how it is. And of course, moral is like concerned with principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness of bad and badness of a human character. Like, it teaches us like how to change our character. That's how I learned things that why we should be moral. And one thing I can say about fallacy is that it is like an invalid reasoning, like something you do, like it defects the fallacies are defects that can weaken arguments, and it's a common error of reasoning, like that can undermine the logic of your argument. And it's also a general type of appeal or something like that. And that's how it is about fallacy. So one thing I can say is that for the ethics of humanity is that, like, one thing, like, there's like the ethical idea of moral goodness, like it's primarily through the human dignity and the principles of humanity, and it's reliable. So, and of course it is the humanity and the dignity through moral rights are like the general expressions for protection of fundamental moral values. I'm gonna make this a little bit quick since we're almost done. So, and next is so one thing I have learned is like test the right versus wrong issues, like apply the resolution principles. It's also part of ethics, like when we make an ethical decision. And of course the virtues are very important. One thing about the virtue is like it's also like something like you should know like what are the consequences of your actions. Like for example you would have to the virtues also involves character and like regarding to the duty and actions. And the founding father of virtue is Aristotle. So this is the only thing I can say, like we should also, virtue is very important for us. And of course, like for example, patience is a virtue, and we should also know like the virtue ethics like justice, wisdom, temperance, courage, and prudence. So that's what I have learned from the virtue ethics. So for the utilitarianism, I'll just make this short because since we're almost done. So utilitarianism is a theory of morality, and also it advocates the actions that foster happiness or pleasure, and also opposes the actions that can cause unhappiness or harm. When directed towards making social or economic, like some of those decisions, utilitarian like in philosophy aims for betterment of the society as whole. So that's the only thing I can say about utilitarianism. So as this one, what I can say is that everybody should make some like ethical decisions in the face of COVID-19. So we are taught that way because it is important that we all know what are like the ethical decisions, like on what we should do during the pandemic. And I also learned like how I should introduce myself in the ethical decisions. We should know what to do, or on how we like do for our character, like what we should do like for what is right and wrong during the pandemic. And of course, that's how we abide by the rules on that's how we should learn. So, and one thing I would just like to say, I'm just gonna make this short. Justice and fairness is very important for everyone. Everyone should be equal, like the same number. Since that's it for today, I hope you enjoyed. So if you want to learn more about this, give this video a like, then subscribe, and peace out.